man, you can't say that thing because it's too sensitive. But then you have the meme culture where you can absolutely just rip into anything.
Yes. Yes.
So let's maybe go into that a little bit. Like, what's
okay? Well, you want to talk about memes? Because
memento mori.
Memes are the future of perception.
It's the future of perception. We're in the future of perception.
Well, I mean, it's the present and the future of perception. It's all meme warfare. Everything has become meme warfare.
Damn.
At least, I mean, and I mean that gets like, I don't know. Do you want to talk? Because the first thing that came to my mind is, well, the UFO is a meme. That's really bizarre. Is that the UFO is a meme that's been influencing human beings for probably since the beginning of human beings. And I don't mean necessarily coming down here and tinkering with our DNA, but me and David Metcalf have been goofing off about this idea for a while.
David Metcalf. I got him later on too.
Great. Yeah. Oh, you're so lucky. You're so lucky. I've got a man. I love David. He's just like. I have a colleague crush on him because he is so good. He's such a good talker, and he is funny as hell. I mean, if you've never had a conversation from him, you should slot out about 4 hours and just let him riff. Usually I do. Yeah,
I love the long interviews, like at least 2.5, 3 hours, stuff like that.
Yeah, usually I'm the talker, but when when I'm on the phone with David, it has rarely been less than 3 hours.
You know what's funny? He's actually the next interview next week. It's
how appropriate.
It's episode 102, Interdisciplinary Consciousness Studies with David Metcalf. That's next Sunday.
Man. I can't wait. I can't wait. I really want to crash his place down in Georgia.
Georgia, yeah, right. That's where he's at.
Get this. He's living in this isolated farm.
What?
He's like a farmhouse, or it's not like I don't know. It's just some isolated cabin or whatever. But it's on this like place called Witcher Road. Witcher Road, and people won't even like deliver his stuff there. Like they leave it at the end of the road because it's so like creepy or something.
Really?
Like
awesome,
yeah, like he's really living. Talk about like living the life. David's actually living the life. He's really amazing.
So he's got to get a nice creative space out there.
Yeah, he's real. Well, he said that he's exposing himself to the liminal universe. He's cut himself off from so much civilization. And what happens when you have, when you do that to yourself, you open yourself up actually to more and more anomalistic experiences and paranormal episodes.
This is what we need to get into now, because our personal journeys that we've had in the past and our experiences, whether or not we think they were delusions but they were experiences, maybe we can go into that as far as with your history. I don't know which one you want to touch up on.
Well, the interesting thing is that population isn't necessarily population isn't necessarily the issue. In liminality, it's just kind of like weird in between spaces is really all that means.
Okay, I guess I misunderstood that then, huh?
Yeah, it means not quite here nor not quite
not right there. In-betweeners.
The in-betweeners, because even here in the Hudson River Valley area of New York and New Jersey, major UFO hotspot. Major. And in fact, I believe northern New Jersey had more UFO sightings than anywhere else in the country. I think we outdid New Mexico last year. And Nevada, which is I think that's the correct statistic. I don't remember, but it's high over here.
Okay.
And it's because that river, it's between here and it's between there, So but that stuff is maybe just so many rabbit holes to go down to, but
I like that rabbit hole psychology.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Well, then it's good on this show, so it means I can just be free. So, in terms of are they delusional? No, they're not delusional. There's absolutely nothing delusional about the paranormal, and that's you can argue it, and you can offer evidence, and you can be anecdotal, but there really just is a class of people out there who are determined to let you know that it's all bunk, it's not real, it's all bullshit. But the thing is that when something happens to you personally, you see the UFO, and you see it in such a way that you know it's a UFO, that it's, in fact, it's not a UFO anymore. It's not an unidentified flying object. When you like see one, you know it's not a UFO. You know what it is that it's a machine. It's not a UFO. It's a machine. It's some kind of machine that your brain has never seen before. And so this happened to me. I like live in a hot spot. Okay. So the first, you're gonna love this story. Okay.
Oh.
So here you go.
Bring it. Bring it.
All right, here you go. This is great. I don't think I've ever actually shared this on any of my interviews before. So
an exclusive. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
This is an exclusive. This is the Eliott Edge UFO sighting story.
Okay.
It's never been recorded as far as I can remember. So I was walking the city to have lunch with my mother, actually, and just strolling, and I was listening on my iPod, and I was walking from New Jersey to catch a bus at the George Washington Bridge. And you cross the bridge and you're in New York City, and you take the train downtown. So I'm in Jersey. I'm walking through this parking lot. I've lived here for like 20 years, so I walk through this parking lot all the time. At the time, I happened to be listening to Terence McKenna talk about UFOs. I happen to be listening to him talk about UFOs.
Just by chance?
By chance.
Okay.
Completely by chance. I'm walking out of the parking lot of this diner. I stop at the sidewalk. I'm looking down at my feet because I have been walking up an incline, so I'm looking down at my feet. It's just how my body's like bending to get up the hill. And I hear, "Hey," in my mind. I just hear this male voice go, "Hey," just like that. And it's not me. It's not like my own mind. It's not Terrence, who I'm listening to right now. It's like a distinct
outside voice.
Yeah. But one that I didn't hear with my ears. But it seemed my brain registered it, though. Okay. And I stopped dead. I look up into the sky. It's 1:00 in the afternoon. The sky is blue, okay? There are no clouds anywhere, and there's this star in the middle of the sky that is bright. And when you live in this area of New York and New Jersey that I live in, you see a lot of air traffic. You see a lot of helicopters, a lot of traffic helicopters. We also have like several airports in the area. We have Newark International Airport, we have Teterboro Airport, we have JFK. So you see tons of airplanes all the time. You see tons of helicopters all the time. You see blimps. When it's blimp season, you see blimps. So if you live in this area, you live in all kinds of traffic all the time. So you get used to seeing it. And I've been living there for like 20 years. I've seen it all. This star, I start watching it, and I'm like, oh, it's rather peculiar. And my first thought is like, oh, maybe it's just a plane banking. And I'm just the glint of the sun off of this plane banking. And as I'm watching this star right there, and I don't even know why my intention's on it, honestly, but as I'm looking at it, it just disappears. And I know a lot of people, when they talk about their UFO sighting, there's a difference between disappearing and zipping out. Some of them zip out, others disappear. This one disappeared just right into the blue. It's like the blue sky just
out of thin air.
Out of thin air. Yeah, exactly. And I keep staring at that one chunk of sky, and I'm just like, that was weird. And just as I finish thinking, like, oh, that was weird. What was that? As that happens, the star just fades back into existence, brighter than ever. And now I'm like, wow, that's really, really bizarre. What am I looking at right now? Like, I've got to know, because it disappeared and now it came back, and now I like have to know what this thing is. So I'm staring at it, and as I do, it moves from being a star to being a silver ball, like a sphere. And now I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, like, maybe that's a blimp. It kind of looks like a blimp. And then the ball turns, and it's a classic cigar-shaped silver UFO.
Cigar-shaped?
Yeah, it's cigar-shaped. Like, it banked, and I could see its body now. And I'm like, oh, man. And as I'm looking at it, I'm like, is that a blimp? Is that really just a high-flying blimp? And the second I say that, it starts to fade out again, and it's gone. It's blue. The sky is back, it's blue, and I can't see the thing. And now it's starting to enter my consciousness. Like, I think you're looking at I think you know what you think you're looking at. That's what my inner dialogue starts saying to myself. You know, I think you know what you think you're looking at. And the thing of it was, it felt very much like a display. Like, the whole experience started with hearing, like, hey, in my mind, and then seeing this UFO, like, show up. And it's like, and it seemed very much like it was, like, showing me this. And I was like, are you, what? Like, it's like my brain was tied in a knot. And I'm trying to get my body to move again. And it fades back. So it's disappeared 2 or 3 times now. Now it's back. I'm looking at it, and it's moving around now, kind of like a leaf in the sky. Like,
a leaf?
Yeah, like it can't stay still. Like, it's moving a little over here.
Okay, like
there, and it's not descending, but it, like, can't sit still.
It's like breezing through or something.
Yeah, it's like breezing through. It looks kind of like a tadpole moving around. You know, it's like got these weird jerky motions to it.
Okay.
And this is the part that I remember the most, is that, like, as I'm looking at it, the 2 thoughts that enter my mind next are, that is a machine. And I start having fear. And I start fear. Yeah, I start having fear. And it's fear like the way I've always described it is, imagine you're a wild dog in the woods, and you've only dealt with other animals, and then one day, out of nowhere, off in the distance, you see like a squadron of fully armored Vikings pass through the area, covered with shields and swords and flags and screaming songs at each other and shit. And that you're scared. You're, like, backed into a corner. You're like, what is this? What am I dealing with right here? Like, I could feel myself actually start going, like, like a dog. I was like, because I was like, I could actually feel my brain
about to freak out or something.
Well, really, like, I could feel it was freaking out, but the reason why it was freaking out was because it couldn't identify what it was looking at. It had never seen it before. It was so different. It was like trying to pattern match in a database, and I was like, don't know what it is. And then I decided to start walking. So I started walking towards the bus stop, and my eyes are cranked up to the sky and the general location of where this thing is. As I'm walking to the bus, it keeps doing its routine. It's fading in and fading out, and becoming a star, and then becoming a silver shape, and fading in and fading. And so I'm watching towards the bus. People pass me on the sidewalk as I'm doing this, and I'm actually too embarrassed to ask them if they can see the UFO too. That's the thing that was really strange.
Wow.
And if you go into UFO literature, you'll find that people are asked all the time, like, well, why didn't you take a picture of it? Why didn't you grab your camera? And now I understand the answer these people give, because they say this: it was so weird and so other that I didn't even think to take a photo of it. I didn't even think to talk to anybody. I didn't want to talk to anybody. Frankly, I didn't even want it to be real. I really couldn't even get over the fact that it was
paralysis
real.
of some kind.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. There was kind of just you kind of feel paralyzed, and it makes me wonder, like, is the UFO doing it, or is this just my natural response to seeing a UFO?
Wow.
So it's totally visceral. It was very emotional. So I get to the bus stop. I get on this bus. And I'm sitting on the bus now, and it's the same thing. I can't talk to anybody. I can't ask them, hey, did you see that UFO? Like, I just can't. There's just it just feels embarrassing for some reason. And I'm in the back of this bus, and we start crossing over the George Washington Bridge. I've done this 100 times, you know? I'm on the bridge. I look out towards the north, and out of this area of New York City, I think is Washington Heights area, the UFO is back, and it's closer and it's lower than it has been. And this is where it gets completely out of town. There's this white cloud that just kind of emerges like a fog, like a mist, and it's way too low to be like a normal cloud. And it looks like it's coming out of these apartment buildings,
like a cloud ship kind of thing, or something.
Well, no, like a portal, like a portal made of fog, basically.
Like a moving portal. Okay.
Yeah, it looked like just imagine, just think about Captain America's shield, only it's all white and it's a cloud on its side, and he's like holding it up like that. Like, that's what it looked like. Yeah.
Okay.
It was like a disc. And as it like just manifests, 2 more silver cigar UFOs come out. And as they come out, and I'm watching them, and now they're flying like low, and they're really close, and I can really see them. I don't see any portholes on the thing. I start looking for portholes. But as they start passing by my line of sight, a third one shows up, this time coming out of New Jersey, and they kind of cross paths, and they both disappear. Like, they both just totally dematerialized. And as they do, we're pulling up into New York City, Manhattan right now. We go up into the bus station. I get out of the bus station, and I basically go to the bathroom to see if I have to vomit.
Wow.
So sorry about that.
Right.
So it's the whole experience has been so jarring and so terrifying that I run to the bathroom to go see if I have to throw up, because I feel like I want to throw up. Hang out in the bathroom. I don't throw up. I kind of like empty my mind. I go down to have lunch. I meet up with my mother. And this is the funniest part, of course, because I'm like, Mom, I'm pretty sure I just saw some UFOs. And my mother goes like, "Aw, you're seeing angels, baby. You saw the angels. Look at that." And my mother's super Christian. My mother's super duper Christian. So, of course, she's like, UFOs are like, "Oh, they're angel ships." And I was like, no, I just saw something completely disturbing. And, like, I don't even think I can have lunch with you right now, but it's nice to see you.
I find that funny how that's, like, that perception, I guess we could call it, about the where it gets mixed up as far as angels, UFOs, ghosts, or what electromagnetic beings. Interview earlier previously was called where I had to we can experience as far as like big presences or whatever, and you're terrified of them. Man had said it was interstellar plasma beings or something like that.
Or even the ultra terrestrials and
ultra terrestrials,
the crypto terrestrial, the ultra terrestrial,
or the interterrestrial.
The interterrestrial, and then there's the there's like the Bigfoot is a spiritual being. Like I don't think Bigfoot's flesh and blood. I think Bigfoot's like a Bigfoot is the this is actually a joke. I think David Medcalf came up with this joke. I think he said, Marshall McLuhan, hot media and cold media.
Oh,
well, there's the idea that there's hot media, like the radio is hot media, and then you have cold media, like the television. Like how that makes sense, I don't know. But that was like Marshall McLuhan's way of talking about media stuff. Even I don't really get it. But David made this great joke where he says, like, when it comes to the paranormal, UFO is like hot media for like the cosmopolitan, and Bigfoot is the cold media for like the more rural types. But it's all the same paranormal.
The Loch Ness Monster and all the...
Yeah, that would be a cold media phenomenon. Yeah. The Loch Ness Monster. It only shows up every once in a while. It's not very dynamic. A poltergeist is a hot media paranormal phenomenon. If it's throwing your shit all over your house, that's hot media right there.
Interesting.
So, I mean, I don't really know. The guys who have the best idea about this, I think, and David would agree, are Chris Henson. I think it's not. I just actually put their name together. What I wanted to say was Brian Henson.
Right.
I think his Brian. Oh shoot. Well, Henson is his last name for sure. He
Okay.
worked at the he worked at the Psychophysical Research Lab here in Princeton, New Jersey, and he wrote a great book called The Paranormal and the Trickster. It's like a groundbreaking book for the field. And then Christopher O'Brien wrote another book kind of related to it called, I think it's called Stalking the Trickster or Stalking the Herd. I don't know. I probably got everything so wrong right there that both of them will be like, hey, that was nice of you to shout out my stuff incorrectly,
though.
But they both study this. They both study this trickster phenomenon, and they think that all the paranormal stuff that everyone experiences, whether they're elves or poltergeists or UFOs or Bigfoot,
We're being pranked upon?
That it's all this actually, it's all this like shape-shifting.
The cosmic
trickster.
joke, the cosmic pranks.
Cosmic joke. Yeah, exactly. And it's actually there to inject novelty into the system so things don't get too stagnant and boring.
Novelty.
Yeah, so that would bring it back to Tom Campbell and the whole idea that the universe is a video game. So why does like the paranormal happen? Well, the paranormal happens for two reasons, kind of, in terms of like Tom Campbell's thinking. One is that you think the universe is a physical reality, and because of that, you interpret all this natural phenomenon as being paranormal, when actually it all just effects in a video game, and they're totally normal. That's
the epiphany, like in the dream when it becomes a nightmare.
Yeah, exactly.
Like everything becomes alive with it intensifies your fear when you realize you're dreaming and something's not right. It's not what you thought.
There you go. So the things would appear paranormal, but really they're just actually exactly. It's like, it's like this dream logic doesn't make sense because it's a physical world where it's like, well, actually you're in a dream, so dream logic makes perfect sense. No, you got it. Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
So that's the one thing, is that like they're just effects in the dream, and they're kind of creepy, and people interpret all that as paranormal, but really you're in a video game, so it's actually totally natural to the video game. The other thing would be that the paranormal is shows up to agitate systems that become too stable. This is also what Henson is. I think it's George Henson. I'm so sorry,
George Henson. Okay.
Yeah, right. So George Henson has the same thesis, where he's like, what happens is you get these systems where nothing changes, and so paranormal events happen there, and not only do they create great changes, but they have this ripple effect that goes out through time and history and all this kind of stuff. And if you consider like someone who performs quote unquote miracles and how that has a ripple effect through history, well, then you're talking about like, well, the paranormal right there just totally changed everyone's experience of the world and themselves. So he sees the paranormal as this agitating agent, very much in a psychedelic kind of situation.
It kind of reminds me of like David Lynch movies.
Exactly.
They're like trying to figure it out, this dream thing, and they're like, what's the meaning of this? But what's the blue box in Mulholland Drive, and what's going on? He could talk to me on the phone, but he's at home on the phone talking to him. But
that's like my favorite part. That's my favorite part. He's like, give me back my phone.
Yeah. I love that kind of stuff. That's totally what that's into. Like, like stuff to stump us, to stump our logic. It's like the battle of rational versus irrational, or
Oh yeah. I mean, rationality is definitely like a lie we created to enforce upon a universe that is really far out.
Yeah.
I mean, rational in terms of like, well, I guess really it's the trans-rational that I'm attracted to, or the
trans-rational. I like these the words, the trans and the meta. I would use those a lot. Those prefixes.
I really like to say the prefix of prefix is free.
That's good, man. I like that. I love that. I love the clever, witty, all wink and witty.
I try to keep it. I actually was telling someone the other night that a huge part of my life force is dedicated to keeping myself amused. I'm actually very bad with boredom. It's a huge